All right. Hey, Dylan. Finally, man.
Yep.
Finally, after
I
all of
know.
those months, we are here. So, first of all, thanks for doing this with me. And, before we kind of jump into, everything business related, could you maybe start by, quickly, briefly introducing yourself and, yeah, what you do?
Yeah, bro. So I'm pretty much from the ecom space. So my main businesses that I've built over the last, say, 8 years since I've been in business have been ecom businesses. I've built brands, scaled them. And a few years ago, I got a lot of people reaching out for mentorship and consulting. So I did that for a little while, selling an hour of my time, like $1,000 an hour and things like that to like businesses already doing $1 million plus. And that wasn't really fulfilling. It wasn't really that much fun for me. So a couple of years ago, started doing more structured mentoring and education for the ecom space, helping early stage ecom entrepreneurs or people that want to become an ecom entrepreneur find a product, launch their business, build a website, scale, build ads, quit their jobs, all that sort of thing. So ecom is my world, building brands and mentoring the next generation of ecom founders, bro. That's sort of the main synopsis of what I do. I've also got a podcast. I've been doing a podcast for the last 4 years or so, not just in the ecom space, interviewing entrepreneurs, thought leaders, brand builders, obviously. And yeah, man, my life's pretty cool. I do a lot of things, which I don't always recommend. I definitely wouldn't recommend to people doing as many different things as I do. It's more like take the advice I give rather than doing what I do. It's taken me a while to, get to a balanced state. Hence why we've been trying to line up this meeting for a little while, but I'm happy to be here, bro. I've always enjoyed working with you, and I've told you that from the start, man. So happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So yeah, today basically I want to first go, through kind of the steps that we took. So maybe, go to the past, kind of talk about how things were there. Then of course about the results that followed, because that's the most juicy part. And of course the overall, experience, transformation, all of that. So let's take a step back to the moment that we met, right? So when we started working together, walk me through, how did the business look like? What was the offer? What was happening on the content side of things? Like basically give the entire picture.
Well, like the beauty of this is, and I'll do my best to to answer it for you today. The beauty of this is, like as I just mentioned and sort of alluded to, I've got multiple businesses, right? So for me being all in high touch on the business that you helped with, wasn't going to work. It never would have. Just the efficiencies of day to day and time allocation never would have got to the place where we wanted it. And like I was lucky enough to have a business partner that spoke to a lot of people before you, right? And he's like, "Hey, Dill, I've had this meeting with this guy, Michael. He's a really good guy. I think we've got limited time that we can spend on this business because we've got the podcast and the brands we're building, everything like that. I really think he can help streamline a bunch of things that we're doing, can take up some of the slack and really add value with some of his expertise." So it was a lot more manual, I suppose. It wasn't. It's weird now. I suppose most people that are listening to this will really want to scale their business to the moon. Like for us, we weren't really trying to scale to be like $1 million per month business. For us, the way we do our mentoring and coaching is a little bit different. We want to be a little bit more personalized. So obviously, like any business, we want to grow it and we want to hit really good numbers, and that was part of the motivation. But for us, because it wasn't the only business we're working on, everything was fragmented, and we had a little bit of time doing this and a little bit of time doing that. And the big thing that sort of was an appeal when we connected and heard what you do was like bringing all that into one person or one team that understands the complete process and can own a lot of that and drive a lot of that stuff forward. So I guess for us, it was sort of, we spent a little bit of time on this here, a little bit of time on this there. And the appealing part, as I said with you, was like having a partner that understood the process way more than us. As I said, we're ecom guys. We're not coaches first. We're not mentoring guys first. I'm passionate about education, but ecom is where I made my money. So it's not like where I had all the source, all the tactics that could, move the needle really, really quickly. So I think the appeal for us was like consolidating a big part of what we did to one partner that understands the game, that could be flexible enough to understand our needs and our time constraints and what we're good at and what we're not good at, and sort of be flexible enough to work with us through those stages and create a solution for us that enabled us with that in particular business to focus on the things that we enjoy, the consulting, the educating, the working with brands, being on camera, creating some of the content, but all that back end behind the scenes stuff that We just didn't have time to become masters of ourselves with everything we had on. That was sort of the main appeal for us.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And I just remembered, yeah, we got connected by the business partner Joe. So,
Yes. Yeah.
thanks for Joe. Good that we have him. And
100%.
I guess, you already kind of answered that the next question I want to ask, in so many ways. So, you talked about having limited time, wanting to have someone that has like the whole structure, already made and just can, plug and play with you guys. But what were the other, let's say, like the actual logistical business problems that were happening inside of, the offer that you were looking to get some help with?
I think the biggest thing for us, and there's always is still massive improvement we can take in what we're doing. I'm a forever student. I really believe in like looking for the small 1%ers and the small 5%ers, 10%ers in which you can find improvement in your business. But the reality is, you can never be a master of everything, right? It's really, really hard to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon of each part of the, marketing funnel that could benefit a business. And the biggest thing for us was like being time poor, and content suffering because of our lack of time to really take that to the next level. Now, what we're really good at, and this is like what brought a lot of people to want to work with me, is like we consistently put out a podcast pretty much every week for 4 years. Now, we haven't hit every single week, but largely we put out a podcast once a week. And there's a lot of time in researching guests, finding guests, coming up with like the questions, and then all the post-production side. So we were quite good at that, and that was great. But when it came to additional YouTube videos or short form stuff, it just wasn't something we had time to do. And because it wasn't something that we really prioritize in that sense, if we haven't spent a lot of time in it, it's really difficult to have the amount of lessons and tactics and the understanding of the strategy for people that live and breathe that day in, day out, every day. And in your instance, you're not just living and breathing it for yourself, but you're also living and breathing it and getting lessons accelerated by working with 10 brands and 10 companies rather than just your own. So I think the insights in terms of titles and thumbnails and the whole content, ecosystem, from bringing in people at the top of the funnel to educating them and inspiring them, and then bringing them into our funnel if they were the right type of person that we wanted to work with, was like the biggest needle mover for us.
Yeah, completely agree. Like the way everything was structured, like I could already see, like from the first call with Joe, that there was definitely a time. The time was the most crucial resource here, and like of course aligning everything, and then actually being in the trenches, with you guys, and thinking, okay, how we can get those videos, recorded, when we can get those, where we can get those posted, right, and kind of building everything around the schedule of someone who is really busy, who is dealing with couple of businesses, family, everything, right? It was a struggle, but that's where you can, when you actually can make this happen, then like that's let's say the overall process that is so valuable, right? Because if someone is as busy as you, then they must have such a unique knowledge that then can be packaged in a good way. It can be of course used for marketing and other purposes.
It's the same reason people come to work with me, to teach them how to build and scale a brand. It's like, okay, how do you build and scale content and YouTube and ecosystems? Well, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay someone or work with someone that I know has done it and runs on the board and can show me the plan and say, this is what we'll do and this is what will happen. And then when you do that and you get in month one and the results speak for themselves, it's a really easy decision.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like, especially, with the type of clients that are, similar to you when it comes to, how many time they have that they can actually allocate. They know on one hand that they are really capable and that they easily, get, all the pieces of the pie. They can get the thumbnail guys, the script writers, the editors, the strategies, right? They can get everything on their own, but they also know, and this is, I think, where you can kind of distinguish the great founders, the great business owners, to the, kind of like mid ones, that they know that they can either pay with time or they can pay with cash. And the way that they will pay with cash gets you, the amount of feedback loops and the amount of progress in 4 months that you would get in, half a year, right? Or 12 months.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's exactly right. If you want to learn something new or you want to get better at something, there's 2 ways to do it. You can invest your time or you can invest your money. And if you invest your money wisely, it's going to reduce the amount of time it takes to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Exactly. So I guess, you mentioned that you've been kind of, thinking about getting someone on board to help you with those things. So yeah, how long have you guys been maybe like kind of on the market, looking for someone who could potentially help you with content, ads, all of those things?
Well, we've gone back and forth for at least a year trying to figure out what's the right structure for us. We were never in a rush. Again, and I said this to you, like, our ideal setup was like to find someone that could do that internally, right? Be part of the team. But you know how hard it is to find someone that has all the skills, all the knowledge, all the tactics, that wants to come work in my business, or the smart enough people like yourself that have these skill sets and have this knowledge up your sleeve. Well, pretty quickly, most of those people figure out I'm going to get into business for myself. So it's really difficult in the content and space to find someone that is flexible enough to work with your needs now, but has the skill set and knowledge to grow with you with where you want to go. So that was like sort of the challenge, working out what's the right structure. We pitched every day by certain people that want to do funnels for us, or they want to do our emails, or they want to do our content, or they want to edit our podcast. And it's like very rarely will anyone have an offer for us that even gets us to jump on a call and take those meetings like Joe did originally with you. And I think the biggest thing for you, the way that you packaged up your services together for us, it made a lot of sense, and it wasn't originally the way I thought we would solve the problem. But when we did it and when we tried it, it solved like 90% of what we wanted to do at a fraction of like the time investment and even cost investment. If we wanted to hire a full-time person in Australia would have. It made sense on that front. So I think that was sort of what we were looking to achieve in the partnership with you. But like as I said, like we're pitched every day by different people that even want us to jump on a call. And we don't even just jump on calls with most people. Obviously, as you can imagine, I'm sure you're getting pitched by people all the time to do XYZ for your business too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I was going to ask that next, and you already kind of touched on that. So why in such a crowded space like this, right? Like, why did you guys decide it? Because I'm actually interested in that. Like, why did you decide to even, let's say, hop on a call and then ended up working with me? Then, so many other people that maybe, have like also their expertise, maybe even some different like results, anything like that. So why did you choose me?
The biggest thing I think for you was the way in which you structured your offer or your services actually understood and solved the problem that we were dealing with. That's the biggest one. Like people could come in and create XYZ amount of clips for us a month, or they could edit and like they would solve individual little components without understanding or solving the problem. So I think the way you structured everything that you do sort of tied it all in nicely. And it wasn't about just hitting our content quotas. It was about tying it together in a strategy that made sense. So everything was going in the same direction.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Interesting. Okay.
And the biggest thing as well, speed. The speed in which you and your team can work also stood out. It's like you've got an idea, send it, you're going to get iterations within a day, 2 days, 3 days. Like it's quick. Speed was another thing that stood out for us in terms of what you and your team could achieve.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, we touched on, how the kind of past looked like, how we ended up, being here. So let's right now talk about what happened. So how has the business changed since then? We were a couple of months ago, started working. How has the business changed?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things for us was like more consistency throughout. As I said, this isn't like my main business where I make my money if I don't hit targets. I don't feed my kids or anything like that. Obviously, I made a lot of money from Ecom. The biggest thing for us though was like the consistency and the consistency of output across the board went up, and the time that we spent on it went down. So obviously those are two pretty enticing factors. And I think, like, as I said, this business for me isn't a business that we started to try and maximize profits or make as much money as we can. This is a passion project business, as well as a way for me to like share the information that I have. And like, I grew up in a lower middle class family. I changed my life through Ecom, wanting to give back in that sense. But yeah, I think because this was a secondary business for us, we would do random intakes here and there. We'll post a story, we'll do an intake, and it was very sort of sporadic around when we had the time. So to be able to do that on a more consistent level, which obviously impacted our business positively, but also it scaled our impact and helped more people, start businesses, get out of the rat race, even just change their mindset and start thinking differently about the future in business, was massive for us. And I think, like, again, first quarter, we would have done over 200K with you. And as I said, for me, it's not about doing money. I think we would have done from the dashboards that you guys send through, 208,000 in the first 3 months. And again, I sort of like almost feel uncomfortable showing those things, but I just think it's like, for me, it's not about the money, but it's about the impact you can scale. And if you're a mentor, coach, creator, whatever your offer is, if you really back that and stand behind it and you get good results, you should want to share that with the world, right? So if there is a person or a system or a team that can enable that for you and help you scale your impact, whilst at the same time reducing the amount of time it takes you to do that, so you can focus on the education or the transformation in your clients' lives, then I think that's a really positive thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. And especially, when you have the business that actually gets people the, great results, right? You are not just selling them or some bullshit, but you actually deliver the results. Then, the numbers, they kind of don't mean anything. But what you can say, when saying, for example, that you did, X amount in a month, is that like behind that number, there is like 10 or 15 lives being changed.
Exactly. That's the bigger
literally
thing.
in the next couple of months, right? So like going from, signing, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients a month to signing, 10, 15 clients a month, like that's 3x the amount of great impact that you have in the world. And I think, of course, I know we've been working for quite a while. I think that's like even much, much more important for you than any like numbers, especially like you say, this is not even like the main thing for you.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Gotcha. So I guess, based on everything that you see, where do you see yourself going in the next 6 to 12 months with this business?
Look, to be honest with you, like my main thing is building brands for myself, because selfishly I love doing that, and I love finding products that I love, creating them, building them, and taking them to the world, right? So this business, again, like I think it's going to get even more exclusive. Like we already cap our numbers, but I think it's to deliver our personalized service and how much time we'll be putting into our new brand, we'll probably cap our intakes even more. So it'll be the quality of client or the quality of people that we want to help work with when it comes to that. But overall, bigger picture, take away the business and the direct results that flow through to the business. Something that I do want to scale and I do want to grow and I do want to invest more in is content and building my personal brand and scaling the message. And I think with that, with working with you guys, you'll be able to increase the speed at which we can do that, increase the quality at which we can do that. And like when you start working with any new partner, there's always like a few things you got to like iron out. Hey, this is the way you do things. This is the way we like doing it. Can we make some changes and make it flow? And I think anytime like you restructure a partnership with someone, there's going to be a little bit of like a learning period, but you get through that. And the time that you buy back by investing in that and in that structure, in that team, in that people that can help you scale your message is massive. So in terms of like the mentoring and the education company, we're going to keep doing that. I think it might be a little bit more exclusive. I'll have less time to work with. So I want to really find the right people to work with. That doesn't mean we're going to go 10x our prices or anything like that. We have an application process. We don't have a website where anyone can just join. We will interview anyone before we work with them. So I think we're going to continue doing that. But I want to build like a big community of people that want to take control of their lives. And it's not about, how much money you can make. It's about quitting your job and working on your own business full time and not feeling like you have your boss breathing down your neck every day. And you're depressed on Sunday afternoon thinking about work the next day. And you're only excited on Friday afternoon. So you can, have 2 days to yourself. I think that's the biggest thing I'm excited to scale. And the bigger the message gets and some of the messages I get from people, and it's really weird to say and think about how I've inspired them to change their lives, or they listen to what I said and now they're earning $30,000 a month and they've quit their job and they're doing all these cool things. It's awesome, man. We have people we help that are now doing like 7 figures per month, like that had listened to every episode of the podcast. They came through when we started working together, when we started working together, and now they're building brands that are doing 6-7 figures per month. And to get to play a role in changing those people's lives, bro, is crazy. I always say I can never make my first million again, but I can hopefully make as many people as possible make their first million or quit their jobs and start working for themselves. And to me, that's what life's all about.
Definitely looking forward to seeing what happens in the next 6 to 12 months. So I guess, Dylan, the last question I always like to ask. If someone is on the fence, about working with me, right? What would you tell them?
Well, the biggest thing with me, and this is why we've continued to come back and work with you month after month after month, right, is I have a really good bullshit radar. You know what I mean? Like people that talk the talk and can't walk the walk. I've got a really good instinct on that. And I've got a really good judge of someone's character and the people that I want to work with. It's not just what can you do. It's when I'm jumping on a call with Michael, do I trust that his team will be able to implement and action everything that they will off the back? Well, we've worked together for probably close to a year. I don't know, many months, right? So you've ticked that box and I know that. But the more important thing for me, why we came back to keep working with you, is because we enjoy working with you on a human level as well. So we didn't enjoy working with you and it was a pain every time we jumped on a call or jumped into Slack and went back and forth I probably wouldn't have, wanted to keep working with you. So I think like the offer that you and your team can build around, your clients, I think was really appealing to us. That was step one. Second step is like, can you actually do what you say you're going to do? Yes, you can. And three, do you enjoy working with that person and collaborating with them and sharing ideas with them? Yes, you do. So I think it ticks three pretty good boxes. So it's like, if you're on the fence to work with Michael, like I don't work with many external partners at all. I say we like building things and running things internally. So trust me, I'm really picky with the people I work with and partner with. So if it was good enough for me, there's a really good chance that you're going to be thrilled by working with Michael as well. So I'd say, look, give it a shot. I think their terms are really great, the way that they can build things around clients and the way that they do things. And I think you'll be pretty hard pressed to find a better partner for what you guys do, which is why we decided to work with you.
Awesome, man. Appreciate all the kind words. And like I said, a couple of times already throughout our partnership, like working with you guys is also a pleasure. I always like to, see what you guys come up when it comes to the podcast, when it comes to different ideas. And, seeing that you guys also can do that while, creating all of those different Ecom's brands is just absolutely fire. And I hope we're gonna end up working for the next, 12 months again.
Yes.
And maybe we're gonna meet on another one of those in 12 months.
Yeah, bro. Let's keen to really, and again, I've got a lot going on in the background with other things, hence, why we, it's hard to schedule this call. But I think the big thing that's going to drive it is content. And that's the thing in a lot of businesses. If you're in a business, regardless of what niche you're in, content is the most important thing you need to be focusing on. So just seems to make sense.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Okay, Dylan, thank you so much for tuning in today. And yeah, appreciate you. See ya.
Chat to you soon, bro. Thank you. Legend.